This week's Farm Basics is brought to you by satshot.com. Satellites aren't just for NASA anymore. Use the power of satellite imagery to create variable rate management zones in your fields. To reduce input costs and increase yields on your farm, go to satshot.com.
Do you burn the residue out in your fields? You know, we get lots of questions about this every year, and especially the further north we go in the United States, obviously it's a little colder, and a lot of people don't want to have much residue out there because that helps hold the moisture in and it doesn't allow the soils to warm as quickly, things like that. So they figure, well, I just don't have a choice, I have to burn the residue off. If you're in that situation, I mean, maybe you do have to burn residue. We just want to talk a little bit today about why you might consider not burning that residue and the nutrients that you're going to lose when you burn.
All right, well, anytime you're going to burn, there's definitely the downside of dealing with neighbors and nearby towns and fire departments and this kind of thing that, oh boy, everybody's going to get excited when they see the smoke and that kind of thing. But let's just assume that you've kept the fire under control and everybody's okay with you doing it. Once you've gotten past that hurdle, the next thing in our opinion is the nutrient loss and the loss of organic material out in your field. These are two things that are going to cost you a little bit when you're farming, so let's focus on those issues first.
Okay, talking about that organic material, we talk very often about how good organic matter is. Once the organic material decomposes and it's in the soil, we're trying to build organic matter levels in our ground because it makes the ground better long term. All that stuff's good. But the problem when you burn is you're going to lose more than 90% of that carbon. You're going to lose almost all of your nitrogen. You're going to end up losing about, studies have shown, around 25% of your phosphorus, 35% of your potassium, and 75% of your sulfur. So in other words, when you burn, we just want you to understand all the nutrients that end up going up in smoke, and it will cost you a bunch of dollars to replace that. Now, depending on what kind of crop you're raising and how many nutrients were actually in that residue to begin with, you might very well have $50 going up in smoke. So in other words, you literally have to apply $50 more fertilizer to that ground. Again, that number could vary. It might only be $20, but it could be $100 depending on your situation. You just have to test your residue, see what's left there for nutrients.
Well, when are you going to test it though? This is the real challenge.
Right before you burn. You're going to have to test right before you burn because it makes a lot of difference when you're running those tests. The nutrient level can be a lot different in the fall than it can in the spring.
Plus, you're going to have some residue left in the field with the ash afterwards, but as Brian said, most of the nutrients are going to be gone from that, or a lot of the nutrients are going to be gone. It's going to be a real challenge for you if you're burning, replacing those nutrients. You're going to have to add some cost. Now, the upside of that, of course, is you are going to be able to get into that field sooner. And this is the real benefit, where you get rid of residue. Now all of a sudden the ground is black. It's going to absorb more sunlight. You're out there a little bit quicker. Is that going to be enough benefit? You have to weigh those costs out for yourself.
Yeah, and the way that we always look at this thing is, you know, we don't live in a perfect world. When we're out there trying to farm, sometimes you have to do things that you don't really want to do, but you're just stuck. Like every once in a while you have to mud the crop in. Every once in a while you have to go out and spray when the weather isn't perfect. Every once in a while you just have to go combine even though the grain isn't quite fit. But I guess we just want you to understand the full ramifications of this thing. When you're out there burning, there are a whole bunch of risks to it. Just the fact that fire could escape from you, but it's that nutrient loss that really can cost you a lot of dollars each and every year.
One other possible benefit of burning in a field is eliminating some of the weeds that may be growing early in the season or late into the fall. Could our weed of the week be one of them? And can you identify this week's weed?